Welcome to the Skeptic Zone, the podcast from Australia for science and reason.
Yes, it's the Skeptic Zone podcast, episode number 768 for the 25th of June 2023. Richard Saunders coming to you from Sydney, Australia, where the weather is crisp and cold and clear. Coming up on this week's show, a shortened show this week, a compressed show this week. This week has been a little bit up and down for me, and so the show is a little bit shorter this week. I hope you understand. Anyway, coming up on this week's show, the first part in a new series by Adrienne Hill. Don't worry, she's still going to continue her series on UFOs and other strange things on Wikipedia, but now we start a new series all about the New Age, Arcturian healing from the Arcturian solar system. Oh, yes. Sorry, what? Sorry, you've never heard of Arcturian healing? Oh, you are in for a treat today. You can count on Adrienne with Adrienne Hill, all the way from Skookum Studios in Calgary, Canada. Also on today's show, we have the Trove segment, and this will look at various cancer quacks, cancer cures, mentioned in the Australian newspapers over the decades, and this was inspired by our dear friend Dr. Siobhan O'Sullivan, who you will remember we paid tribute to last week. Siobhan died not so long ago from ovarian cancer, and indeed, the day before yesterday, I attended the funeral of Dr. Siobhan, and what a moving funeral that was. The number of tributes and eulogies was quite something, and she was such an accomplished woman, my goodness me. And something I didn't know about Siobhan is that, like me, she had a level of dyslexia, which meant that schooling was very difficult. Very difficult. And those of you with dyslexia, especially the sort that I have and Siobhan had, where spelling words and reading can be a jumbled mess, and remembering sequences and that sort of stuff. Despite all that, she went on to get a doctorate and became an associate professor. An inspiring woman indeed. Anyway, I digress. So the Trove segment does look at cancer cures and cancer treatment. And as you will remember from last week, Siobhan was very keen on promoting evidence-based medicine when it comes to helping to cure cancer. But before we get into the show, some news that has happened in the last week I'm sure you are all aware of. And I'll tell you why I'm bringing up these news items. Predictions. Remember the Great Australian Psychic Prediction Project. Part of that project involved listing huge world events that happen every year which weren't predicted. And in the last week alone, we had that dramatic situation over the wreck of the Titanic, which ended in tragedy, sadly, which gripped the world for a number of days. And just in the last 24 hours, we have a possible coup in Russia. And that story is developing as I speak. And it's possible with the thousands of people making predictions every year about all sorts of things. Somebody will go through and say, aha, look, I predicted that. But as the Psychic Prediction Project showed us that, yes, every now and then people can twist what they predicted into something that actually happened. But what we look for is consistency. Can somebody do it time after time after time? But yes, what a dramatic turn of events, especially in Russia at the moment. I wonder what the following week will bring us all. A big shout out to my teacher friends from around the world. And I know that some of you are just starting a little break at the moment. Well deserved, of course. Teachers work so hard, so I'm thinking about you. Stay tuned at the end of the episode for more comments from me and more news. I will add at the end of the episode. But now it's time for me to run downstairs. And I think it's a sort of egg on toast day today. While I do that, I hope you enjoy the Skeptic Zone. you can count on Adrienne. With Adrienne Hill.
Hello, this is Adrienne Hill from Skookum Studios in Canada, here to talk about something I had actually never heard of until recently. Now, you might think that by now the New Age is old hat. The term itself, New Age, is decades old and has aged about as well as flared jeans, according to Richard Saunders. Now, Richard, I have a pair of flared jeans. I like them. But there are still many, many people out in the wide world for whom the New Age has never gone out of style. And of course, there are many younger people discovering it every year. It is fertile ground for business opportunities. And this is why, as Skeptic Zone listeners know full well, things like Mind, Body, Spirit festivals keep going on year after year. There seems to be a never-ending succession of New Age modalities. Now, Susan Gerbic asked me to watch a video featuring a charismatic woman named Brandi Kahn, who was introduced as an astrologer, medium, and Arcturian healer. I was unfamiliar with the term Arcturian healer, so I went to the internet to find some answers. And there was nothing on Wikipedia except for a page called Arcturians (New Age). On the page, it says, quote, "According to the beliefs of certain New Age movements, Arcturians are a very advanced extraterrestrial civilization from the solar system of Arcturus, who wish to share their knowledge and wisdom with the citizens of Earth. They are described as other-dimensional advanced star beings. Arcturians are said to be loving and peaceful beings who are willing to communicate and work with any soul that wishes to travel with them to a higher level of consciousness. Currently, they would guard the Earth, help healing the planet, and raise its vibrational energy." Of course, it has to involve vibrational energy. "Emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual transformation would be among their primary goals. Arcturians would regularly incarnate on Earth and would have been involved in Earth's evolution." End quote. And after reading this, I was thinking to myself, this couldn't have anything to do with Kahn's healing practice, surely. Could it? Extraterrestrials? From the solar system of Arcturus? So I went to Kahn's website to find out more and learned, yes, this was exactly what her healing apparently involves. On Kahn's website at brandikahn.com, I learned that, quote, "The Arcturian Healing Method is a set of cosmic energies inspired by higher beings called Arcturians from the star system Arcturus. It is a multidimensional form of healing that is meant to accelerate your personal evolution. Light, energy, and information are encoded within the Arcturian frequencies. This approach brings balance to physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual subtle bodies." End quote. Now, according to her website, prices start at $88 for a single session and go up to $440 for 5 sessions. Now, I'm going to read out what each of these sessions offers and try not to giggle too much. The single session offers physical healing and rejuvenation, improvement of emotional and mental well-being, spiritual uplift, stress relief, life path alignment, life functioning upgrade, energetic clearing and protection. It facilitates a connection with your higher self and is offered in conjunction with powerful intergalactic frequencies. Now, if you're interested in more sessions, you can get 2 sessions for $144, and that gets you Symbol of Life, activation of the 12 petals of the heart chakra, pineal gland activation, stress activation of the thunder chakra, connection of your inner grid lines to the greater grid lines of the Earth, other star systems, the universe, and parallel universes, activation of 9 energy nodes above the head, activation of 9 energy nodes below the body, activation of the central channel of energy in the body. I knew knew I couldn't get through all of this without giggling. Oh my. Okay, let's keep going. Awakening of the third eye tunnel, activation of the belly, lower dantian, hera, and cauldron, activation of the uraeus or unicorn light. I did actually try to find what unicorn light was in this regard and was unable to find anything. And lastly, activation of the 3 guardian shields surrounding the body. The website also has 3 of her videos embedded on the homepage, and those are Arcturian Superhuman Boosting Frequency, Arcturian Clearing Session, and Arcturian Healing Energy. And each of these videos consists of generic New Age music coupled with a soothing voiceover, but saying very little of substance. And here's some samples.
Welcome to your Arcturian healing session. I'm your host, Brandi Kahn. I invite you to sit comfortably. Take a slow, deep breath, completely relaxing your body. Close your eyes when you are ready. As the Arcturian frequencies begin to run on your system, just allow your experience to unfold without any expectation. It's time to begin. Allow yourself to be lovingly wrapped in the energy of the Arcturians.
And when I Googled Arcturian healing, I found a number of sites offering these healing services, so it's definitely not just this woman. For example, I found one healer from Zurich, Switzerland, named Manuela Caranci, and 2 American names keep popping up, Lauren Gailey and Jean Eng. Now, Jean has an interesting background. According to multiple sites, he is a PhD in neurobiology from Yale University. He taught neuroanatomy for 8 years at Yale Medical School and cognitive neuroscience to undergrads at Yale University. On his website, jeaneng.com, he has several healing courses that he offers. In Arcturian Healing Method Level 1, which costs $375, it states, quote, "This divine healing method is a set of new healing tools and cosmic energies inspired by higher beings from the star system Arcturus. It is divinely guided through the form of the Arcturians. In this training, you will be attuned to the Arcturian Healing Light, or AHL. This is a form of light, energy, and information meant to accelerate a person's evolution. In particular, the attunement will place an energetic Arcturian golden star and purple sphere in each participant's heart center that will allow them to transmit the AHL for others." And remember, AHL is Arcturian Healing Light. He goes on to say, quote, "Some of the possibilities that these principles can do for you and others are: learn to shift a condition's dimension to a more optimal one." I wonder how you do that. Download past and future lives information for health and healing in clients. Create a spin torsion field to manifest or demanifest conditions. Learn to change a condition's timeline to a more beneficial one. Apply Arcturian symbols for health and healing. Learn to create information transfers with healing images and symbols. Be given a specific Arcturian symbol for healing and meditation. Be given a specific symbol to allow one to journey transdimensionally in consciousness through Arcturian stargates. Learn to work with specific Arcturian healing guides. And finally, learn to create healthy energetic boundaries. You can use AHL as a standalone healing modality or combine this with your existing healing practice. Included in the class is a 110-page plus workbook. Also included is the Quantum Spoon Bending online video and Quantum Spoon Bending ebook. Prerequisites? None. End quote. So I decided to take a look at how popular Arcturian healing is on YouTube. And there are many videos ranging from explanations on how it works to videos of sound. Most only have a few thousand views, thank goodness, but one I found had 82,524 views as of this recording. And it is titled, quote, Scalar Energy Field to Banish Negative Energies and Bring in Positive Energies, end quote, from the channel called Arcturian Sound and Healing Energy. And it is unbelievable that there are so many people that have listened to a whole hour of this video. And here is a little sound bite. And yes, this is what it sounds like for the full hour. Terms like scalar energy have been a favorite of the New Age for some time now, and we can broadly call them word salad. Other terms used are, of course, vibrations, frequencies, the energy itself, and one that is making an impact especially on TikTok at the moment, and it's called the Schumann resonance. But maybe that's a report for another day. And that's all for now. Be sure to check out Susan's YouTube channel, Psychics Explained, where Susan and I analyze a talk and readings done by Brandi Kahn, which is what inspired this report. Link is in the show notes. Until next time, this is Adrienne Hill. Dr. Harriet Hall, MD, known to thousands as the Skepdoc, was a retired family physician and former Air Force flight surgeon who wrote about medicine, so-called complementary and alternative medicine, science, quackery, and critical thinking. Harriet produced a free online course of 10 video lectures on science-based medicine and alternative medicine. The videos and an accompanying course guide can be found by following the link at skepdoc.info or by visiting tinyurl.com/skepdoc series. Topics covered in the series are science-based medicine versus evidence-based medicine, what is CAM, chiropractic, acupuncture, homeopathy, naturopathy and herbal medicine, energy medicine, miscellaneous alternatives, pitfalls in research, and science-based medicine in the media and politics. Harriet covers each topic in a matter-of-fact, no-nonsense way that is sure to educate and entertain. Find it at tinyurl.com/skepdoc series.
Back into those pages. We dive a lot there. A lot. We make a splash into the archive that is Trove, online at trove.nla.gov.au. Of course, your worldwide online resource from the Australian Government and the National Library of Australia, who have been very busy indeed, digitising thousands upon thousands of newspapers and journals from Australian history. And with the sad passing of Dr. Siobhan O'Sullivan only in the last week, I thought I might look into the pages of Trove at various reports on cancer cures, cancer remedies, cancer quacks, that sort of thing. Because there's one thing that Siobhan kept in the front of her mind was all the quack cures and false promises out there when it came to cancer. And we'll go right back to the year 1933 in the pages of the Warwick Daily News from Queensland, dated the 17th of June. Grave menace, cancer, quackery, drastic action necessary, human gullibility. Brisbane, Friday. The annual report of the Cancer Trust states that the treatment committee of the Trust Hospital hopes that the Queensland Government will take early and drastic steps to deal with charlatans. The report says that the hopelessness of advanced cancer, together with human gullibility, was mainly responsible for the prosperity of cancer quacks, who were prepared to bleed the unfortunate victims of their last shilling. How little that things seem to have changed. The greatest danger, however, was that these people readily undertook to treat cancer while it was yet, to legitimate measures, quite a curable disease. The almost inevitable failure of their efforts inevitably resulted in the patients being relegated to the hopelessly incurable group. The committee says that a campaign directed towards teaching people what forms of cancer were avoidable and how they could be avoided, coupled with the emphasizing of the easy curability of pre-malignant conditions, should eventually result in marked reduction in the cancer death rate. Concerns about quacks and quack cures all the way back there in 1933. Now let's skip ahead a few years to 1942, the war years, and we read the pages of The Sun from Sydney, dated the 17th of June. Quacks cancer remedy. Perth, Wednesday. Treatments prescribed to a woman for cancer of the nose were a compress of lettuce and doses of kerosene and water. This was revealed in Perth Police Court today when William Albany Rayner was fined £25 and £11 costs for having held himself out as willing to give medical services or advice contrary to the Medical Act. Rayner was described as a principal of the Armstrong Nutrition Institute of Perth. The charge was laid by the Western Australian Medical Board, and Dr J.P. Ainsley said that when he examined the woman being treated by Rayner, he found that she had an extensive cancer of the nose. He said that if Rayner's treatment had continued, her life would have been lost.
It would not be a murder, but it would be close to it,
said Dr Ainsley. The woman patient in evidence said the treatments prescribed by Rayner included a compress of lettuce on her nose, 3 drops of kerosene in water taken internally once a week for 3 weeks, and application of silver beet juice and lanolin. The magistrate said he agreed that the woman was lulled into a sense of false security, and Rayner definitely gave medical service and advice. An honest man would have sent her to a specialist. And now let's skip ahead a few more years to 1949, the 3rd of September, in the Argus from Melbourne, Victoria. Bill to curb cancer quackery. The state government would legislate to prevent quacks from attempting to cure cancer, Mr Oldham, Attorney General, said last night. A bill was being drafted, and he hoped to be able to present it to Parliament before Christmas. Mr Oldham said Cabinet was agreed that action to curb the activities of cancer quacks was vital in the interests of the people.
We must do something to stop these unqualified persons who boast they can cure cancer from practicing.
Recently, Health Department officers decided to ask the government to ban cancer quacks. And now we go ahead many decades to the 1980s. 1987 to be precise, on the 10th of August in the Canberra Times. Alternative cancer treatments. Sydney. Cancer patients in Australia were not being told that orthodox cancer cure therapies of surgery, radiotherapy and chemotherapy were largely ineffective in extending life, according to the organiser of a proposed seminar on alternative treatment.
This has been confirmed by a recently released study by the United States Government Accounting Office, which concluded that many so-called improvements in survival rates over the past 30 years are largely a result of changes in the way survival rates are measured.
Mr Don Benjamin, convener of the Cancer Information and Support Society, said in a statement yesterday, Alternative cancer therapies will be the subject of a cancer seminar to be held at the CISS next month in Sydney. Mr. Benjamin said the seminar would present alternative methods such as a change in diet and lifestyle as being useful for both prevention and control of cancer.
The seminar will also feature several people diagnosed with cancer who had used one or more of these techniques to control their cancer in recent years,
Mr. Benjamin said. He said the seminar was being held because of the lack of proper information in Australia on both orthodox and alternative cancer therapies. It is expected to attract more than 200 doctors, patients and cancer experts, mainly from New South Wales. Yeah, and that was in 1987. How's that working out for you, I wonder, all these years later? I wonder if these people from the 1980s, if they suddenly travelled to 2023, whether they would be shockingly disappointed or delighted that scientifically based medicine is fulfilling on its promise, prolonging life, and in many cases curing cancer. And finally, we'll end in the 1990s. 1994, the 21st of March in the Canberra Times. Young cancer victims using alternative therapies. Sydney. Almost 50% of children with cancer use alternative therapies, usually alongside conventional medicine, a South Australian study has found. However, less than half the children's parents discussed the alternative therapies with their child's doctors, a study published in the latest Medical Journal of Australia found. The study of 48 children at Adelaide's Women and Children's Hospital found 17% had positive imagery therapy, 15% had hypnotherapy, 15% had mental imagery therapy, and 10% did relaxation exercises. Now, I've not heard of positive image therapy or mental imagery therapy. That's interesting. A few children also tried special diets, multi- and megavitamins, naturopathy, spiritualism, faith healing, meditation, vegetable juices, chiropractic, or homeopathy. Parents said they chose alternatives to give their children some control over their lives, to assist the chemotherapy, help the child cope with unpleasant side effects, or because it might help but would not harm. Parents said therapy helped the children, who were aged between 4 and 16, relax, reduce pain, and gave the children hope for the future. Some alternative therapies help children cope with cancer, but doctors needed to know what other therapies were being used to avoid undermining the treatment, one of the study's authors, cancer expert Dr. Michael Rice, said. For example, megavitamins with high doses of folic acid should not be given to children receiving methotrexate, I think that's pronounced, for leukemia because folic acid interferes with the drug's action, Dr. Rice said. Choosing alternative therapies and avoiding conventional therapy would also risk a child's life, Dr. Rice said. However, Dr. Rice said therapies such as hypnotherapy could greatly help children cope with the side effects of conventional therapy. And that is just a tiny sampling of stories over the years involving cancer, possible cancer cures, cancer quacks, alternative therapies, and that sort of thing. Now, there's an old expression we use in this country sometime. It comes from cricket, a game of cricket. We say, well, who's got the runs on the board? It means who's scored, who has progressed, who has got the score under their belt. I think you understand. You could say it for a game of football. Look at the scoreboard, who is scoring? And of course, we are in no doubt that conventional, scientifically based medicine and treatments has the runs on the board. And I'm afraid things like homeopathy, well, if you understand the analogy, they're all out for a duck. Duck, quack, appropriate really. But you can find all sorts of ducks and quacks and cures and all sorts of things when you look at the pages of Trove at trove.nla.gov.au, because you never know what you might find.
Hello, this is Maynard. Did you know that you can listen to the Skeptic Zone on YouTube? Yes, I know, sounds crazy, but it's true. Also, you can hear 40 logical fallacies with Michelle Bickersma and funny sketches with Richard Saunders and a host of other skeptics. Just click on the YouTube links on the homepage at skepticzone.tv.
Thank you for listening to the Skeptic Zone podcast this week, the shortened version, and I hope you understand it's been that sort of a week. Now, a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a month ago, I took part in an online chat with my friend Kenny Biddle and the one and only Susan Gerbic, all about skepticism. We had a very nice long chat, the three of us, and that was broadcast through the Center for Skeptical Inquiry. And I will link to that in this week's show notes. You can see the three of us chatting away about how to promote skepticism, how to treat people, and these sort of issues. Now, who remembers that in the last couple of weeks, social media and some other media have been going bonkers about UFOs again, and how any day now the government whistleblower will, etc. You've heard it all before. And we skeptics, we sit back and we say, we've heard it all before, and next year we'll probably have to sit through and hear it all again, etc., etc., etc. Here's a short clip which I discovered while mindlessly looking at TikTok, which I do from time to time. I've discovered all sorts of interesting things on TikTok, including origami, so go figure. Anyway, here's a short clip of author Ross Coulthart from Australia, who has been really pushing this UFO flap lately, and I'll play it for you. Here's your homework: to spot the logical fallacy.
An enormous amount that Mr. Grush knows. And I know, it's really funny. One thing that I want to emphasize is it's 2 weeks now. 2 weeks. We've had all the carping debunkers and all the skeptics. Not one of them has laid a glove on the credibility of Mr. Grush. And all he wants is the opportunity to have his allegations tested. What are they frightened of? He's called their bluff. If he's lying, expose him as a liar. If he's not lying, think about the implications of what he's saying.
So there you are. According to Ross Coulthart, the journalist, because we skeptics, because we can't prove a negative, therefore, ... Yes, Ross, that's very sound reasoning indeed. I tell you what, we'll sit back, we'll have another drink, and we'll wait for... What shall we give them, folks? What shall we give the UFO believers this time? Another year? Another 2? Another decade? Just like all the decades we've given them so far. And as true skeptics, we sit back and say, while we don't think the UFOs are here and the aliens are running around, of course, we are open to evidence. And we are still waiting for that evidence to change our minds. But don't be surprised if that story is completely lost soon, because there are other more important things happening. But it will come back again. The story will never go away. And I hope the Skeptic Zone will never go away, and the reason it stays around, well, one of the reasons is because of the kind, generous support from listeners just like you who contribute to the Skeptic Zone every week at skepticzone.tv via PayPal or Patreon. Your small weekly contributions all add up terrifically to keep the show in your ears. But for this week, with a big thank you to Adrienne Hill, our reporter in Calgary, Canada, who once again saved my bacon Did I have bacon when I visited you, Adrienne? I can't remember. I had pancakes. This is Richard Saunders signing off from Sydney, Australia. You've been listening to the Skeptic Zone podcast. Please visit our website at www.skepticzone.tv for show notes, contacts, and to access the back catalogue of episodes going back to 2008. You can follow the Skeptic Zone podcast on Twitter at Skeptic Zone, visit our Facebook page, or leave a review on iTunes. You can also support the Skeptic Zone via Patreon or PayPal. The Skeptic Zone podcast is an independent production. The views and opinions expressed on the Skeptic Zone are not necessarily those of Australian skeptics or any other skeptical organisation. Hello to the people who listen after the music for the Easter egg. Here it is. It's the dice game. I've got a D10. 10-sided die. I'm going to roll it 3 times in my dice rolling machine. It's not a machine. It's more like a little structure. And your job is to guess or use your psychic prediction or cheat. What 3 numbers will I roll this week? First number coming up. Guess away. Here it comes. The first number this week is a number 2. Write that down on my Skeptic Zone iPad. Number 2. Next number, guess away. Here it comes. And what is it? It's a 6. 2 and 6. Very even numbers so far. Last roll. Here it comes. Well, 4. Can't get more even than that. Today's numbers are 2, 6, and 4. Now I'll roll 2 D10s and see what number we get from 1 to 100. Reading the first dice first and the second. Here we go. Last number out of 100 is 67.
Okay, dokie, here we go. We got my clicker ready. Friday night. Can't think of anything better to do. This is awesome. All right. Greg's taking the dog for a walk. Should be good. Cheers, Richard.